Welcome to a new arc, the Recurrence, where the past is just a preview, only on your dose of Wowness.
Beneath a national park where families take pictures of elk and steam rising off hot springs, there is a chamber of partially molten rock, roughly the size of a small country. It has erupted before, catastrophically, more than once, and it is, right now, quietly recharging. Yellowstone has produced at least 3 caldera-forming super-eruptions in the last 2.1 million years. These events occur on a scale far beyond normal volcanic disasters, burying entire regions in ash and measurably cooling the global climate for years. The timing of these 3 eruptions connects directly back to the patterns we examined in the fossil record yesterday. These events occurred roughly 2.1 million, 1.3 million, and 640,000 years ago. They form a rhythm, but it is an uneven one that resists the claim of a clean, predictable clock. So today we ask a different version of yesterday's question. Rather than looking for a hidden clock in the sky, we want to know what recurrence looks like when the actual mechanism is deeply buried under our feet, recharging on a schedule geologists can measure but still cannot fully predict. This is day 13 of your dose of Wowness, the second stop in our arc on patterns that keep coming back across geological ages. This chart shows the Volcanic Explosivity Index, or VEI, a logarithmic scale used to rank the volume of material ejected during an eruption. A VEI 5 event, like Mount St. Helens, is massive by any human measure. However, a VEI 8 event at the top of the scale ejects at least 1,000 cubic kilometers of material, an exponential jump in volume that places it in a different class of geological event. Yellowstone takes the form of a caldera, a massive collapsed depression that remains after a catastrophic eruption empties the magma reservoir beneath it. The park's famous geysers and hot springs are the surface expressions of this underlying heat, as pressure escapes upward through a fractured landscape rather than a single central peak. This entire volcanic system exists because of a stationary plume of hot mantle material called a hotspot. As the North American continental plate drifted westward over millions of years, the hotspot remained fixed, leaving a 17-million-year trail of ancient, extinct calderas stretching across the Snake River Plain toward the current site at Yellowstone. This makes the system an ancient planetary engine. It has been pulsing for millions of years, independent of the tectonic boundaries that drive most of the world's volcanoes. Because this is an active system, the Yellowstone Volcano Observatory maintains a continuous, multi-instrument monitoring network to track its state in real time. They do not rely on mathematical averages to guess at eruption dates. They watch the data. Scientists track thousands of small earthquakes annually, use GPS stations to measure subtle ground deformation down to the centimeter, and monitor shifts in gas chemistry. These signals tell them how the system is breathing and whether fresh magma is moving into the reservoir from below. Current data shows no signs of imminent activity, and geologists explicitly reject the claim that the volcano is overdue. A sample size of just 2 intervals, 800,000 and 660,000 years, cannot support the kind of precise countdown clock often found in viral headlines. Direct, real-time observation provides a more scientifically honest picture than simple arithmetic. It allows us to monitor a genuinely recurring geological system without manufacturing false eminence. To see what the stakes look like when these cycles intersect with human history, we have to look toward the Toba caldera in present-day Indonesia, which produced a VEI 8 eruption roughly 74,000 years ago. The 1815 eruption of Mount Tambora, a VEI 7 event, produced the famous Year Without a Summer and widespread crop failures across the Northern Hemisphere. Because Toba was a full step higher on the logarithmic scale, the hypothesis of a severe, multi-year volcanic winter is physically plausible. This chart visualizes the Toba catastrophe hypothesis, proposed by Stanley Ambrose in 1998. He linked Toba's climatic impact to a genetic bottleneck observed in modern human DNA, a period where our ancestors were supposedly reduced to a few thousand breeding individuals. This story has become a standard narrative for how a supervolcano's recurring rhythm might have nearly ended our species before it truly began. If you like your Tuesday served with a side of, there's a monitored supercontinent cooling machine under a national park, subscribe. Your dose of Wowness drops a new deep dive daily, and this arc still has 8 more recurring patterns to go. However, the near-extinction narrative is increasingly contested. Error margins in genetic dating don't always align cleanly with the eruption, and many researchers suggest the population bottleneck may have been caused by other environmental pressures entirely. But the archaeological evidence complicates the story further. In regions of India, excavations have revealed stone tool assemblages found both above and directly below layers of Toba ash. This continuity of tool use suggests that human populations in the region survived the immediate aftermath of the eruption. It undercuts the idea that the volcanic winter was uniformly catastrophic for every human group on the planet. Just as the overdue clock at Yellowstone is a manufactured myth, the tidy story of the Toba bottleneck ignores the messy and resilient reality of human survival. Supervolcanoes are massive planetary systems that recharge on their own unpredictable schedules. They represent a scale of recurrence that operates over hundreds of thousands of years, driven by local geology rather than a fixed metronome. Modern geological science allows us to live atop a 17-million-year-old recurring rhythm by monitoring its actual movements rather than fearing a mathematical countdown. Tomorrow, day 133, the recurrence gets personal. The plague comes back, traces a single pathogen across 3 separate pandemics spanning nearly 1,500 years of human history. See you then.